Hello everyone, my name is Aditya Raj, and today we are going to talk about a very interesting topic, that is solar energy, a consumer's perspective. So, to begin with, let's ask ourselves, what is solar energy really and what's the need? People from all around the world and especially from India will be able to resonate with me. From the past few months, we are experiencing weird weather patterns and harsh extreme climates. These unfavorable conditions can be termed as climate change. We have realized that a major contributor toward climate change is greenhouse gases, and greenhouse gases are produced when we burn fossil fuels. We burn fossil fuels, well, we have a good reason for that, to generate energy. Finding a substitute for energy is not an easy task. We need energy for almost everything: hospitals, homes, internet. But we have realized that burning fossil fuels for energy is having bad side effects. We have found new ways to burn, new ways to generate electricity. That is solar energy, wind energy, hydro energy, nuclear energy, or biomass. These methods are renewable sources of energy and they do not produce greenhouse gases. They minimize the greenhouse gas effect and mitigate the climate change in the long run. Personally, I am not a big fan of humid, hot, sticky weathers. That's why I'm trying to contribute toward this cause. What are the things that a consumer, a common man can do? Well, we can plant more and more trees, more and more greenery. Other things are we can start consuming energy that are non-fossil fuel energy, for example solar energy. So today we are going to talk about solar energy. Solar energy is basically the energy which is derived from the sun or the help of sunlight. That's it. Let's look at some pros of solar energy. A big pro is that it is backed by government. In India, PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana is a scheme which encourages individuals to get solar panels for their houses. When something is backed by government, you get subsidies and reliability increases. It's very reassuring. Another pro is that it will reduce extreme climate conditions in the long run. Now, why I'm advocating so much about weather, I believe that a nice weather is directly related with your personal well-being and a country's economic growth. Suppose there's a nice 20 to 24 degrees Celsius weather outside, and you'll be able to make better decision, your cognitive abilities will increase, and when this will happen on a macro scale, then the whole economy is going to benefit from this. That's a big thing. That's a big pro. Another pro is zero emissions and less dependence on fossil fuels. By depending less on fossil fuel energies, you can also escape from the volatile price market of conventional energy. That's also a thing to keep in mind. Another pro is ease of access. Solar panel is easily accessible nowadays. It's affordable. It's still not as convenient if you were to go to a local market shop and get some solar panels, but it's still more accessible when we compare it with wind energy or hydro energy. Reduced electricity cost in the long run. Now, the initial investment is high, but if you take a look at some statistics, this right here is a 10-year time frame, a line graph which shows that the initial investment of solar energy is high. That is the truth. But in the long run, it is less than coal energy or any conventional source. In fact, solar energy is one of the cleanest and the most affordable energy sources out there right now. Another pro is long shelf life, 25 to 30 years of shelf life. This is a very good point. You will be glad to know that by getting 2 kilowatts of solar panels, which will be able to produce 200 to 250 units of electricity, you'll be you'll be offsetting carbon emissions which have an equivalent impact of planting 100 trees. Can you believe that? That's fantastic. So, this is a win-win situation for consumers, but it is not free lunch. Let's take a look at some cons of solar energy. It does depend on sunny weather. If the weather is cloudy for most of the time in your area, then the solar panels won't be as much efficient as they could have been in sunny weather. Maintenance, not a con, but a point to be noted. You do need to maintain the solar panels at minimal cost annually. High upfront cost. Now this is a point which can make a lot of people think twice about getting solar panels. But government is putting in efforts, government is providing subsidies. You can get collateral free loans if you get on grid system solar panel. Different types of systems are there: on grid, off grid, hybrid. Another con is it requires area for setup. Again, a thing to keep in mind about if you talk about 1 kilowatt of solar panel, it will require about 100 square feet of area for installation. Let's talk about installation information. We need to know that there are different panel types. There are more efficient panels, there are less efficient panels, there are different system types. There is on-grid system, which means you will be connected to the discom and have a net metering system. The government will handle all this stuff. There is hybrid system, which means that this is the most expensive one, by the way, which means that you'll be getting some battery, you'll store some energy yourself, having some control yourself. The rest of the energy the government will control. And there is off-grid system, which means you will be the sole controller of the solar energy generated. You need to get batteries for storing solar energy, and the batteries come with a cost. I'll recommend you going with on-grid systems. And furthermore, there are different setup types, which means that there is on-roof systems, there is ground setups, there are building integrated photovoltaics, which means that the panels come integrated with the building material. This is the most expensive setup type, the third one. So I recommend you going with an on-grid system type, because it will help you with the complex approval process. If you apply for a loan, you will get it on a less interest rate and perhaps collateral free, and it makes the whole process more convenient when the government is involved. It's more reliable. Here are some conditions on your screen if you want to get some solar panels on grid system and avail some subsidy. These four conditions need to be satisfied, and here are the procedures. All these photos and information are from a credible source, a document by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. I'll give a link of that document in the description if you want to take a closer look. Cost. So now that we know that different types of systems and setups are there, different types of panels are there, we know that cost varies very much. So I'm going to give you a rough estimate about what numbers we are talking about. Let's consider 1 kilowatt of solar panel. It will generate you 100 units of electricity. It will require 100 square feet of area for installation, and it will cost 70,000 to 85,000 rupees before subsidy. On installing 1 to 2 kilowatt of solar panels, which will generate you 100 to 150 units of electricity, you will be able to avail a subsidy of up to 30,000 rupees. Subsidies also vary a lot, it depends on state to state. The link of the document, the MNRE document, it also talks about subsidies in detail, so have a look at that to know more about subsidies. Credit system is also there. We know what credit system is, right? You buy some things on websites, you get credit points for that, and you can use those credits in future to avail discounts. Similarly, here, if you are an on-grid system, you when you export your additional electricity that you generated and did not use, you export it to the discom, and you get credits for that, which you can use in the future. That's a good thing. let's take a look at some key takeaways and challenges. Sharing is caring. If you live in an apartment complex, a flat, or a builder floor, if you don't have your access to the roof, if the roof does not independently belong to you, you can talk with your neighbors about it, with your community, and by sharing the costs of solar panel installation, you can reduce the cost of installation per head. So that's a good thing if you decide to share the cost. EMI, by applying to loans, you can which you can repay in monthly installments, that reduces the load of the high upfront cost, which is a con of solar panel installation. You know, converting to solar energy or any renewable energy for our houses is good, but what's best is if government takes some initiative. By the way, government is taking initiative. Forgot to mention that government is planning to increase its capacity up to 500 gigawatts of non-fossil fuel energy by 2030. Government is doing some solar projects in Gujarat. So if government, speaking of Delhi, if every electricity grid converts into powered by renewable energy in Delhi, then that will be a ideal utopian situation. Utopian yet possible. That will reduce the load of installation from every individuals. If the government just decides that we'll only provide you renewable energy, that's it. That will be the best condition, best situation. Technology. Technology, with increase in technology in the future and innovation with the help of science, we'll be able to reduce the cost more and more and make this more and more accessible for everyone and for remote areas as well. Awareness. Now, there are some myths in this society. I've heard some people talk about renewable energy in a way that nothing is really renewable. It either the manufacture, the mining of it releases carbon emissions, or it just shifts the emissions to the country which is manufacturing these panels or batteries if we talk about EV cars, or disposal of lithium batteries is very harmful for the environment. These things are true, and I understand your concern. This skepticism is appreciated, but I request you to be more optimistic about science and technology. There are life cycle assessments. These are researches conducted independently, and these researches have consistently proven renewable energy to be way more better than conventional sources of energy. Whether we talk about EV cars, lithium batteries, or silicon solar panels, considering everything, manufacturing, mining, production, everything from cradle to grave life, renewable energy has been proven way better than conventional sources, and the margin is large enough that in future with science and innovation the gap will only widen. So that is one thing. Matter of fact is, even my home is not 100% solar energy powered, but perhaps you could convince my parents, I would convince your parents, and that's how we will get there.